As you gaze upon Bellaire House in Ohio, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was a peaceful, picturesque property. Sadly, the truth is anything but. You see, many people believe the house is cursed, as reports over the years and investigations into its background have brought to light some truly horrifying details. Locals believe that Bellaire House is so haunted, it is easily on par with other known locations in America like Amityville, Winchester House, and the LaLaurie Mansion. Why? Because not only is this property on a ley line, it is also near the site of where many died in the French and Indian War, close to an old burial cave, and has portals to the other side all over the house, and that's just the start of it. Even during the years that the house sat abandoned, people passing by would often notice movement as figures walked through the rooms and peered from windows. Now you might think, Suzanne, I'm sure it was just local kids getting inside and messing about, but apparently the property was completely locked up and with no evidence of a break-in. The Bellaire House was built by Jacob Hetherington in 1847, a man who was described as being hard-working and humble. He made his fortune from the coal mines in the Ohio Valley, owning not only many mines, but plenty of land too. But he was not the kind of guy to sit back and watch others get their hands dirty while he made all the money. He would get down in the mines with his employees, along with his mule called Jack. Now, fun fact, apparently the nursery rhyme "This is the house that Jack built" is actually about Jack the mule, who helped Jacob not only build his home, but expand his coal mine business. Jacob married a young woman named Eliza, and together raised a family at Bellaire House. But the land that this young family decided to use was soaked in blood from the French and Indian Wars that took place from 1754 to 1763, with the number of natives killed being huge. Close by the property, there is also a sacred Shawnee Native American burial cave that is said to contain leaders, chieftains, healers, and other important members. The land is believed to have been important to the Native Americans as well, due to the sky in the area. You see, if you look up at the night sky, you can clearly see the planetary alignment of Mars, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, as well as many constellations. It is thought that these were the perfect conditions for ceremonies and a way to contact the old world gods, the Great Spirit, and even intergalactic beings. Sounds like the couple may have bitten off more than they could chew. On top of all this, the house is built on a ley line, which acts as a magnet to the paranormal and other unexplained phenomena. So when you consider that there are caves at the back of the house and the Ohio River to the front, many consider this to be the perfect storm for pulling in spirits and giving them the energy to move about. The first tragedy to hit the family was when coal mine number 1 had a massive explosion in 1893, resulting in the death of 42 men. The mine was directly beneath the house, but thankfully did not result in damage to the property. After the tragic loss of lives, $8,000 was spent in an attempt to extinguish the flames. But when it was concluded that no further efforts could be made, the mines at Bellaire were abandoned. Alex Hetherington took over the coal mine company and house from his father Jacob, which his daughter Lyde assisted him with. But strange things started to happen to Alex. He began having seizures, his hearing declined, and worse yet, he started to see things that weren't there, even shouting that the demons were trying to kill him. You can imagine how this went down with people. They started to feel the man was cursed and haunted, and this was not helped when the poor man was eventually committed to Athens Asylum for the Insane. In some of the admission papers, it stated that Alex was insane, and his behaviour was the reason the business was failing. He had apparently been on a boat on the Ohio River, but Alex kept thinking he was heading towards Wellsburg, West Virginia. He was also found walking along railroad tracks, disorientated, and not knowing who he was. His daughter, Lyde, took over the coal company, but again, it didn't take long before bad luck struck, and she died, dropping dead suddenly in what is now the seance room. Her brother, Edwin, was beyond devastated. He had been in the military, and after leaving in the early 1900s, had decided to move to the Bellaire House so he could be close to his sister. Edwin was so consumed with grief that he apparently enlisted the help of many occult experts in an attempt to speak with his deceased sister. He became obsessed with finding out all that he could on the occult and communicating with the dead. Due to this, though, he started performing seances in the room his sister died and other ceremonies, and it seems whatever portals he opened were never properly closed after. Currently, it is believed that Bellaire House has 17 portals open all over the property, and this has caused many issues. Many believe that people with the same name are drawn to the house. For example, Edwin and Lyde had servants, and many of them were called Mary. One of the entities inside the house wanted to grow more powerful, and one of the Marys had a child with the perfect bloodline for this. The child was lured to the attic window, and there he fell to his death. But this was not the last time this horror occurred, as another child was lured to the same fate, and years later, an adult male investigator was also pulled to the window to jump. So let's take a look at what ghosts are said to haunt the property. Well, I mentioned earlier that people with the same name are drawn to Bellaire House, and that goes for one of its spirits. Here you will find a little girl named Emily Davis, who is often found in the house, roaming around, and was known to play at the property when she was alive. It is thought that she died from falling down the stairs, and many visitors have not only seen her, but heard her voice too. But there are some experts that believe she's actually a demonic entity posing as a child. Now, the strange thing about this spirit too is that Kristen and a lady named Rebecca Stam Gardner researched Emily and found that 2 Emily Davises were tied to the house. The other was said to have known Jacob and his wife and possibly met her end by suffocation. Behind the house where the burial caves resides, there is a lot of paranormal energy, as well as by the front where the Ohio River flows. It is reported that due to the energy coming from both areas, as soon as any dark spirits are removed, there are always more replacing them, like a conveyor belt of ghosts. How do you feel you would handle that? I mean, no matter what you do to cleanse your house of negative energy, nothing removes it, and over time, you're back at square one. Personally, I think you would get to a point of feeling that you either move out or find a way to put up with it. I feel I would stick it out, as I've lived in a seriously haunted house before now, but again, it would depend on how violent or negative the spirits are and how much they impacted day-to-day life, as well as reports of a grey man or shadow man and the spirit of the child that fell from the 3rd floor. There are many other strange activities inside Bellaire House. People have seen full-bodied apparitions of spirits walking the property, heard footsteps and voices whispering to them. There are strange mists that suddenly appear, as well as orbs and unexplained sudden temperature changes. And if that doesn't unnerve you, visitors have seen poltergeist activity and been attacked while in the house, or come away with deep scratches on their body. Now obviously, no matter how much evidence believers give to skeptics, they always remain unconvinced that a haunting is really taking place. Many will argue that the reports are just people with overactive imaginations, or even that there is no scientific proof that ghosts exist. But to be honest, maybe the real problem is that no amount of proof would be enough for many people, for fear of the unknown is enough to keep their eyes tightly shut. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Dissectors. As I promised, there are big things happening this year. The first being that we now have 3 levels of membership so you can get more from your Darkness Dissected experience. And merchandise will be available soon too. So until next time, my friends, stay safe out there.